They gathered like a flock of impeccably dressed vultures, circling the remains of Uncle Robert's life. Every surface in Blackwood Manor gleamed. Every suit was tailored. Every diamond sparkled. They wore expressions of solemn grief, but I knew the truth. Underneath the silk and sympathy, they were vultures, and I was just something nasty stuck to their claws. My name is Helen Green. To them, I was just the quiet cousin who never left, the dependent taking up space in Blackwood Manor. Uncle Robert had let me stay after my parents died years ago. I was 17, scared, and had nowhere else to go. He opened his home to me with quiet compassion. I helped around the house, kept to myself, invisible mostly, until today. His funeral was yesterday. Today was the family gathering back at the manor, supposedly to remember him. I knew they were waiting. Waiting to hear about the will, waiting to claim their share of Uncle Robert's considerable fortune. I arrived quietly, slipping in through a side door. My dress was simple, an old gray shift, clean but worn. My shoes were quiet flats. Stepping into the grand hall, the contrast hit me immediately. It was like walking into a high-definition film where I was the only blurry part. The hall was vast, filled with dark wood, portraits of ancestors, and the faint smell of Uncle Robert's pipe tobacco. 40, maybe 50 people were here, cousins, aunts, business associates. They milled about, sipping champagne, their condolences, as rehearsed as their smiles. Every conversation seemed to circle back to Uncle Robert's wealth. Aunt Carol spotted me first, thin and sharp, draped in expensive black silk. She gave me a look that could curdle milk. "Helen," she sniffed, her voice thin and sharp, meant to be overheard. "Still here? High time to make your own way, surely." She didn't wait for an answer, turning to whisper fiercely to the woman next to her, glancing back at me with a cruel smile. My cousin David, slicked back hair and a smirk permanently fixed on his face, saw me. "Yeah, Helen," he called out, his voice carrying. "The free ride's over, right? Better start packing." His wife, Sarah, chimed in. "Honestly, some people have no shame. Just clinging on." I didn't say anything. What was the point? Their cruelty was a constant I'd learned to live with. The little digs meant to remind me I was less than them, that I didn't belong in their world, in their house. I just nodded slightly, and moved away, trying to disappear into the shadows by the old piano. Flashback, I was maybe 19. Aunt Carol and David were visiting. I was dusting in the hall. Carol saw me. "Still doing housework, Helen? Or are you content to just be a resident domestic?" David snickered. I just kept dusting, eyes fixed on the mirror, trying not to cry. Later, Uncle Robert found me. He didn't mention them, just said quietly, "Their words are just noise, Helen. Don't let noise define you." Their words were noise, I reminded myself now. Noise meant to keep me in my place. Precisely at 3 o'clock, Mr. Arthur Davison, Uncle Robert's lawyer, entered. Solid and unchanging, with shrewd eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He carried a heavy briefcase and set it on the table. A hush fell over the room. This was it. Mr. Davison cleared his throat. "Thank you all for coming. Before the formal matters of the will, Mr. Thorne left specific instructions to be carried out immediately. A personal message and the handover of a certain document." Whispers rippled. Personal message? Document? This wasn't the main will reading? Impatience mixed with confusion. Preston, Uncle Robert's nephew and self-appointed head, stepped forward, puffing out his chest. "Well, get on with it, Davison. We're ready." He shot a glance towards me, suspicion in his eyes. Mr. Davison ignored him. He pulled a cream-colored envelope from the briefcase. "This is addressed to Helen Green." Every head snapped towards me. Silence fell, heavy and sudden. I felt their eyes like physical blows. Aunt Carol gasped. David's smirk vanished, replaced by suspicion. Preston looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. Mr. Davison walked towards me, the envelope extended. My hands trembled as I reached for it. It was worn, Slightly yellowed, Uncle Robert's shaky hand writing my name. It felt intensely personal. "Open it," Preston demanded, voice sharp. "What is it, Davison? Some kind of final charity handout for the resident?" Laughter rippled through a few cousins. Humiliation burned in my cheeks. I ignored them. My fingers fumbled, breaking the wax seal. Inside were a letter and a thick document. I pulled out the letter first. "My dearest Helen," it began. My voice was a whisper as I started reading aloud. "If you are reading this, my dear, it means I am gone. I wanted you to have this message, and this gift, before the vultures descend." Angry murmurs swept the room. "Vultures? What nonsense!" "They never saw you, Helen," I continued reading, my voice gaining strength. "Never saw your kindness, your quiet strength, the way you cared for me when they were too busy counting their potential inheritance. They only saw what you lacked in their world of money and status." The murmurs intensified. Judged her? She was living off his generosity. "I watched them over the years," I read on. "Watched them ignore you, belittle you, treat you like dirt, under their polished shoes. Their visits grew fewer, their calls shorter, always busy. It broke my heart, Helen, to see how they treated the one person who showed genuine care. So I made a choice years ago," I read, reaching the end. "A choice that reflects who truly deserved my legacy. Not the money-hungry leeches, but the one who showed genuine love," Preston snapped. "This is ridiculous, Davison. What is this gift? What document? Get to the point." Mr. Davison held up the second document. "This," he said, his voice clear, "is the deed of Blackwood Manor. Legally transferred to Helen Green, Ms. Thorne's cousin, 7 years ago, with instructions to be revealed only after Mr. Thorne's passing." A collective gasp tore through the room, followed by stunned silence. Every person froze, eyes wide with shock, disbelief, and then fury. "What?" Aunt Carol shrieked. David stumbled back. 7 years ago? The manor? That's impossible." "It's a fake," Preston roared, snatching the deed. He scanned it frantically. "Robert wouldn't do this." "Not to her. She manipulated him, tricked him. The old man must have been senile." He threw the deed down, glaring at me with venomous hatred. Accusations flew from every corner. "You gold-digging sneak. How could you? Living here, playing, innocent while you stole his home." Their faces, moments ago composed, were contorted with fury. They pointed, they shouted. I stood there, clutching the letter, feeling the full, terrifying force of their hatred. I wasn't a dependent anymore. I was a thief in their eyes, someone who had dared to take something they felt entitled to. Their words were like stones. "Look at her!" Sarah shrieked. "She's a con artist! She belongs in the servants' quarters!" Laughter, sharp and cruel, punctuated the accusations. I was a victim of their sudden, violent rage, their malice exposed. Mr. Davison stepped forward. "The transfer is legal, verified." Mr. Thorne anticipated this reaction. Any attempt to contest this, cause harm to Ms. Green, or disrupt this, results in immediate removal and exclusion from any future bequests. That quieted some, but the anger seethed. Preston snarled, "We'll see about this, Helen. What you stole." "It was never yours," I said quietly, finding strength. "Uncle Robert gave it to me, years ago, when you were too busy to even visit him." Preston sneered. "And why? Unless you coerced him? You're not manor material, are you?" I looked at them, their faces a mask of greed and hatred. He hadn't just given me the house. He had set this up. He knew how they would react. This was his final judgment. He knew who would take care of it, I said. Who would take care of him? I walked towards the study, deed in hand. They followed, a pack of wolves. Inside, it smelled of books and pipe tobacco. His sanctuary. I went to the desk, the leftmost drawer. Inside, a USB drive and a note. "For everyone, play immediately." Mr. Davison produced a laptop. He plugged in the drive and the screen showed Uncle Robert's face, frail but sharp-eyed. The date was 7 years ago. Hello, everyone. His voice was raspy but clear. If you're watching this, I'm gone, and you're probably very upset right now. He looked directly at them. You think Helen stole the manor, that she tricked me. You couldn't be more wrong. He sighed. I watched you over the years. Your visits? Fewer, calls shorter. Always busy, always asking about business, never just about me. You treated this house like a hotel you waited to inherit. And you treated her appallingly. His voice hardened. She lived here, quietly, asking for nothing. When I needed help, when I was sick, it was Helen who was there. She cared for me. The man, not the fortune. You only cared about the fortune. He looked directly at them. This manor is crumbling. It needs care, love, not just ownership. 7 years ago, I knew none of you would. You'd sell it off. Helen loves this place. She sees its beauty. She's the only one who belonged. Here, who appreciated it. She's the only one I trust to look after it, to honor its legacy. He picked up a photo of a younger me. She is my family, he said, voice thick with emotion. More than any of you ever were. So yes, I gave her the manor. Not because she asked, but because she deserved it. Because she earned it with her kindness and presence. His expression turned stern. And because I knew it would expose all of you for what you are. Greed blinded. You were too focused on your inheritance to see the value in the person living here. He leaned forward. There is also a significant endowment tied to the manor for its upkeep and the local children's library Helen volunteered at. A large sum, more than you expect. Enough to restore the manor and fund the library for decades. Managed by Mr. Davison and Helen. A little surprise. Just enough to show you what you lost, because you were too blind with greed to see the value in the person living here. The screen went black. Silence. Stunned, heavy silence. Their faces were a mixture of shock, shame, and dawning horror. They wait. Had lost the manor, exposed by the man whose money they craved. Preston's voice was weak. The endowment? How much? Mr. Davison smiled grimly. Substantial, Mr. Thorne. Enough to ensure the manor is restored. Untouchable by any of you. He turned to me. Helen, the manor is legally yours, and the responsibility. I looked around the study at their faces. The shock wore off, replaced by venomous resentment. They still hated me, but now it was defeat mixed with fury. They saw me not just as a victim, but as the one who had brought their downfall. I had endured their cruelty. In the end, my quiet presence, which they scorned, was what Uncle Robert valued. I hadn't planned this. I had just been there. For that, I was the target of their amplified fury. The room emptied quickly, not polite goodbyes, but angry muttering, sharp glares, slamming doors. Aunt Carol ran out. David and Sarah left arm in arm, faces pale with rage. Preston lingered, eyes burning into mine, a promise of future conflict. Then he left. Soon, only Mr. Davison and I were left in the grand hall. Quiet now, but heavy with the weight of what happened. I picked up the deed from beside the shattered porcelain. I looked up at the stairs, the chandelier, the portraits. It was mine. This crumbling, beautiful, responsibility-laden house was mine. And I was alone in it, the target of family hatred, a victim, yet the owner. I sat on the bottom step. It wasn't a triumphant victory. It felt heavy, sad. I gained a home but confirmed the loss of family connection. The scars of their words remained. Uncle Robert gave me a gift, but placed me in the path of wrath. Mr. Davison came over. Are you all right, Helen? I don't know, I admitted. It was a lot. He wanted you to have this, he said. He saw you, Helen, when no one else did. I know, I said softly. That's what hurts, that he saw it. And this was his answer. It was his way of protecting you, he said, and holding them accountable. He knew they wouldn't change, but he knew you wouldn't let this place fall into ruin. He knew you would care. We sat in silence. The weight of the inheritance, the confrontation, the history. I had endured years of being overlooked, the target of their cruelty. Today it peaked. I was a victim of their venom, but now the reluctant owner of their prize. The hills outside glowed green. The house was quiet, the vultures gone, the truth laid bare. I didn't need the money. I never wanted the estate. I just wanted a quiet place, kindness. Uncle Robert gave me far more. Validation, a refutation of every cruel word, and the responsibility, the deed felt heavy. Not just property, but Uncle Robert's trust, his love, his family's malice. It wasn't a fairy tale. It was complicated, dangerous. But for the first time, I felt a quiet resolve. I would take care of Blackwood Manor. Honor his trust. I wouldn't let their cruelty define me, or this house, or my future. My work was just beginning. If my story resonated with you, if you've ever felt invisible, judged, or been a victim of other people's cruelty and greed, please consider dropping a like on this video. Share it with someone who needs to know they're not alone. And hit that subscribe button. Your support helps me share stories like mine, stories of resilience, even when you feel like the world and your own family are against you. Thank you for listening.